Okay, so this project combines a number of technologies that we've learned about and been introduced to during this course. First one, obviously, is Bitcoin. The second one is smart contracts, and we make a lot of use of smart contracts in this project. The smart contracts describe jobs, and we are using the Codius platform to run our smart contracts. Anyone can see these smart contracts and can accept them as their own. The third piece of technology we're using is a custom designed blockchain using Thelonious, which runs on Project Eris's D-Server. And we use this as a reputation system. It's a public blockchain, but we have private and restricted mining on it. And finally, we have a full stack meme app for mobile first development. So what we're trying to do here is make what may be, I'm not 100% sure, this is based on no research whatsoever, it may be the world's very first job portal. You probably think that there's hundreds of job portals out there already, but they don't list jobs. They list details about jobs. They list job descriptions, information about the company, sometimes remuneration, sometimes benefits. They list contact information, skills you might need to do these jobs. In my case, visa restrictions as well. But these aren't jobs, these are just they list ways to apply to get jobs. What we're doing here is listing jobs, real jobs. So imagine if a job was a real physical thing, something that you could hold in your hand, that existed as not an idea but as a thing. You could own that thing and it could be yours, only yours. If you were to do that job, this entity would pay you the money in that job according to the conditions set forth. So if they asked you to do something in this job and you did it, you would get paid. There would be no argument about that. You would get paid. It would be unavoidable. And the person that made this job couldn't come along at a later day and say, well, I changed the terms and conditions or decided not to pay you. Perhaps I'll exploit you instead, or something like this. This is the kind of job that we're trying to create here. But not only that, this job, it would be a good job. It would be fair. The payment would be fair because it would sort of be set by market forces, global market forces, actually. And if you were to do this job successfully, you should be rewarded not just with the money, the payment, but also you should have your reputation enhanced as well because you have done a physical, intellectual proof of work here to complete this job. And so you should be rewarded with enhanced reputation. So what this demo is I'm going to make a job, a real job. I'm then going to apply for it and do this job, and then I'm going to get paid and have my reputation enhanced. Okay, so there's a lot of different things involved here, and a lot of this is alpha, so we really are at the mercy of the demo gods. But this is the app. Let's create an account, go in, and take a look around. So currently these jobs are called user stories because I come from an agile development background, and tasks are user stories for me, but I think I'll change them to something a bit more common. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do, you can see up here that I've got a balance. This is my Bitcoin balance, and I've got Repo Coin balance. This is our custom blockchain, and I don't have any reputation right now, but I'm going to get some. So I'm going to create a user story. You get different user story types. I'm going to show you the default type. And I've prepared some sample data, which I shall show you now, and we can go through it. So the title of this job is Write a function to be run with Node.js which produces a Fibonacci sequence of numbers. That's it. If you do that, you'll get paid. No questions, no disputes, no way I can stop it. We describe it a little bit more. So the function must pass the tests defined in the GitHub repo, which is attached to this contract. So the person that takes this job, they're going to write the code. We're going to submit it to a repo where the tests already exist. And if their code passes those tests, they've done this job. We're only going to have one applicant for this one. And we describe the Fibonacci process in detail. It's a simple number sequence. The reward for this, we're going to make it 30,000 Satoshis, and you will get 10 reputation points in return. This is the link to where the repo is.
And you have 11 applicants in the box.
Sorry?
You put 11 in that applicant's box.
Did I? Oh, sorry. Thank you. Good spot. Okay, so let's submit this user story, which creates a smart contract, publishes it, sends money to it. Alright, so we created a user story, and now it's in this section, user stories. Anyone can now come along, take a look at this user story, examine the acceptance criteria, and decide I can do it. Anyone. I don't care who you are, where you're from, what your skills are. I don't even care what your name is, to be perfectly honest with you. The only thing I care about is that you do this job exactly the way I require it done. And I have described that precisely, using unit tests in this case. But for many other job types, we describe them in a different way. Some of them will be subjective, some of them will be objective. But even when they're subjective, automatic, done is possible through an arbitration system, which is also automatic. Okay, so let's continue with this user story. I've examined this user story, it's the one we just created. I decided, okay, I can do that, that's no bother for me. I'm going to apply for that. I'll go to my working user story section. And this job is here, that's my job. So if I do this job, it's mine. This job is gone now, and it's mine. I own it. The person who created this, me, cannot now exploit me. So this is good news. So let's have a look at the repo, because that's where I've got to do my job. Bitcoin Fibonacci. Okay, so there's a job done function here. It's jobdone.js. It's a very simple function. It was checking all the Fibonacci numbers, but for code stability reasons, I've just made it return true. So this is basically saying that.
Can you forward?
Oh, sure. What's that? Yeah. Okay, so we've got a job done that returns true. Normally it would have this unit test in it, but we were changing the code up until 7 o'clock this morning, and I didn't want to take any stability risks. So the job done here will just return true. But you can see that we've actually, what's meant to happen is we've got a Fibonacci function, and then it will test that those numbers, a selection of those numbers is done correct. So we've got the job done true. So what happens in the smart contract now? When I say I've done the smart contract is, I've done the job and I want to collect the money in the smart contract, is it goes to this repo in GitHub, it checks it out, compiles it, it runs the tests. If the tests pass and haven't been changed, so the tests are, it's not a hack that you can change the tests, then the money will be paid to the developer that took accepted the smart contract in the first place. So let's take this repo, and then we'll try and do this task. So I've done the work, I've checked it into GitHub.
I know, I'm thinking.
It's asking for the repo, so I should give it this one, Bitcoin Fibonacci. And then we cross our fingers, hit confirm, and the job has been done. What's happened now is my balance has been updated. As that goes away. I now have reputation. And this job has been completed. Now, let's have a little I'll try something a little bit more adventurous here. I'm going to edit this. This time, it should return false. I'm going to commit those changes. Make a new user story, same as before. But the repo, but now the guy, me, isn't such a good developer. And he hasn't written the code right. So his tests don't pass. But he's still going to try to claim the money. Oops. Okay, we made a new one, number 2 here. So let's try and do this one now with our false return in the GitHub repo. So I've applied for this job, I've got it, it's in my working user stories. Number 2, there you go. So let's try and do this one. Done. Same link as last time, Bitcoin Fibonacci. Okay, let's try and take that money from that contract. And it did. Okay. Sometimes there's a caching issue with GitHub. When we check it out, it's still checking out the repository. But you see the flow. It should have. Demo problems. Okay, but that's basically it. So any questions?
First question is, how do you get that repo point? And what if I created 2 personalities and gave me a lot of repo point, and then we would have a lot of repo point? That's question 1. Before we start on that, the second question is, Mechanical Turk, over the years, you generally could not really get the jobs down to a point where it was so academic, right? You had to test and sort of prove it. So you started getting things like you had to have approved people with a specific skill. And the next thing that you had to do was you had to have someone actually approve that you did the job, like tagging images or something like that. So that smart contract really, I mean, have you thought through maybe the types of jobs at scale that could potentially be done in the purely automated?
Yes. Okay, so the first question was
repo.
Was the repo coins, how do I make the repo coins, how do I distribute the repo coins? Okay, so the proof of concept. So what I'm doing is I'm creating during the genesis of the repo coins blockchain, I'm creating 1 million coins. They are held in a master account. The reputation can be linked to the Bitcoin, I haven't decided yet, but when it's sent, it's taken from this master account, sent to each person individually. And I've restricted the mining so that they cannot send that currently to someone else, because I don't want to create a market for reputation. I don't want people to trade their reputation at this point. I might change that later, I probably will. But for now, the point is we've developed a blockchain that can send transactions that you can't then send. And I control the mining. So currently it's done with proof of work. We may move to proof of stake after hearing about it a bit more today. But with proof of work, I do all the mining. No one else can do that. So I'm not liable to any attacks apart from someone attacks my own servers and takes control of my own servers, which themselves will be globally distributed. But there won't be too many of them, so my mining costs will be kept low as well. But really, with repo coins, it's just the start of the amount of the blockchains that we're going to have in here. We're going to have many blockchains, each doing different things and different aspects. And in fact, as we get more and more familiar with using these blockchains, I see them being used for many different things, not just coins or stuff like that, but internal databases. Just using it as a database because I've got a great interface. It's something I'm familiar with. And before you know it, it's a bit like JavaScript. Everyone knows JavaScript because everyone else knows JavaScript. Well, everyone could be doing blockchains for everything. Maybe not, just because it's an easy interface for you. Because I've extracted this API. It's all done through API calls. So to move, for example, an entry from one database to another, it's a transaction which is controlled by a private key. But in that, is the balance as a data object rather than Bitcoin as a sum of all the unspent transactions going all the way back. So it was using a completely different way, but it's the same underlying technology. Then you had a question about Amazon Turk and how this could scale to Turk-like tasks. Well, there's a lot of problems with Amazon Turk. And the reason I know that there's a lot of problems is because I hired 4 Amazon Turk experts with over 250,000 tasks completed in Amazon Turk. And each one of them wrote me a report detailing all the problems with Amazon Turk, listing all the jobs that they do on Amazon Turk, listing all the improvements that they would like to see on those jobs, and listing how they thought the verification of those jobs could be automated using something like this. So I have an entire plan for every job. So for example, we go back to the app.
So image tagging, because that's a very common mechanical shortcut.
It is. But there's and each one of these jobs will have its own contract. So for example, if we look at the audio type contract and fill in its sample data, well, you see what we do here is we add audio files, okay? I can add these MP3 files. Let's just do that. Alright, this is cool too. This is me creating a smart contract, adding audio files to it. This is my audio compare user story. So let's submit that user story. Good. Let's go and have a look at it. Apply for that. It's mine. Here it is in my area. Now I've got these audio files. Let's play. A different one.
Schneider ended the game earlier in the week. The Bulldogs never could respond.
That's not very good quality.
Schneider injured her knee earlier in the week. The Bulldogs never could respond.
I did this user story because someone needed it. The company that I work for currently needed this user story and was prepared to pay for it. And this is something that Amazon Turk could do. But here, I can send this out and 1 million people could do this. And they can have all their audio categorized, quality-wise. They can test their audio algorithms. That's what we're actually doing here. And each story, each type of task would have a contract like this. So for example, tweet a positive message to Blockchain University would have a contract that goes to Twitter's API. This is where we're doing this as well. Goes to Twitter's API, checks that a tweet was made between when the contract was applied for and when the contract was done. In addition to which, it also checks the sentiment of the tweet to make sure that you said something nice. And then when that happens, the money is recorded. And for each task, there will be a smart contract design for each of us. Until we do all of the tasks that we can think of. When we get into the tricky problem, design me a logo. We had this problem. I write the task, design a logo. We go through, say we'll say 4 iterations, something like that. But I still don't like the logo at the end. So there's no way for the contract to automatically fulfill theirs. So what do? Well, in the case that you're the logo designer, you send me your logo. After several iterations, I'm just not happy with it. I say, no, I don't want that. You haven't fulfilled that. I'm sorry. So the money doesn't get paid. The designer of the logo, at which point, just says dispute. At which point the dispute mechanism kicks in. Like we have repo coins for people's reputation, we also have another set of coins, like judge coins. for people that have earned reputation, a different reputation, and are as arbiters. And these people would then be contacted with, and a new contract would be made containing a value, a percentage of the amount that was in the first contract. Okay? These people would then arbitrate using multi-sig, say two of three, or we have 3 judges, 2 of 3. They will then examine the contract, the acceptance criteria of the contract, to check if the designer had done the work according to that contract. If he has, they would vote in a distributed, anonymous manner. And if the designer had done the logo and the guy just didn't like it, well, he's still done the work. So they would probably say in that case, well, okay. So there's been an entire feedback loop, so you're now bringing human intelligence into the decisions. But it's still automatic, because the designer, he just presses dispute. At some point in the future, hopefully really fast, the money will either arrive, or it will go back to the original person, depending on this judging process. Now, once you've got that judging process in place, you can have a history of, call it case law, okay? So a bit like the way that companies really like they don't want to go to court because if they already know what the outcome is likely to be, it's because of case law. So once we've built up a case law for things like, okay, I didn't like your logo very much, and now I decided not to pay you despite the fact that you spent 10 hours on it, which is what happens on every other system, then we can eliminate that. And then this case law actually can form the basis of something big. Right.
It's all well and good, Andy, but don't you think it'd be better just to have a simple text-only website, these bounties?
I thought about it.
I'm advice from home.
I thought about it. It was touch and go, that decision, but I decided to go with it.
I got a question about when you have multiple applicants for a job. So, is the idea that it's always one person who can do the job?
No, you can have.
Can you repeat?
Yeah. So the question is, how many people can apply for the job? And the answer is, it depends on the job. So let's say, for example, that you're crowdsourcing audio quality measurements. You might want 1,000 people to do it. And so for your contract, you'd have to provide enough money for 1,000 people to do it, and then our system would only allocate that to 1,000 people and so on. For others, there might be only 1 or 2. What you could actually do is you can start doing statistical work as well. So for example, when you want to do some audio transcription, for example, you want to listen to an audio file and then type out what's said in the audio file, well, it's cheap to do this, but how do you know that what they typed in was the right thing? Well, you can use other people to type in the same thing. And then you can use statistical analysis to determine, how right they are. And this is another thing that is a real pain point for Amazon. You can have a feedback process. And people get an opportunity to correct any incorrect work instead of just losing their reputation and their account. Yes.
So I'm more interested in the tools and technologies you use. So taking that example about the Fibonacci, the student job, can you just walk us through the contract, the Codius contract, the Codius, I guess you'll be working with some of Codius blockchain?
Well, so the contract is written in Codius. Now, the only reason that we wrote the contract in Codius was because we could get it running at a faster speed than we could Ethereum. We tried to do Ethereum. We saw all the problems that it was having at that time, 4 weeks ago when we started this. Codius, on the other hand, we could compile our code and run it. So decision was made, Codius, and then I haven't looked back. So the Codius platform is you can put any code on it. You don't have to go and learn a new language like Serpent. So we use JavaScript, obviously. Everything in the app is JavaScript, absolutely everything. And then that runs on the Codius platform, which is a set of distributed servers around the world. where we take hashes of the code and you can prove that the code that's on the server is the code that actually runs and it all gets verified. So anyone could look at this and take this contract. That's no problem at all. And then your other question was about
when you're using Polonius, your custom
So-
blockchain.
so-
Just
Right.
one more minute.
So Thelonious is a tool that we use to design the blockchain. So how the mining works, only mined by our restricted computers and servers. How many coins there will be, what the block time is, that sort of thing. So we designed that using Thelonious and then we hosted it in Project X.
Thanks.
One more question?
So
Yeah.
when you have to pre-fund your account, you put in a task or a job. Then when I click and say I take that job, are those dollars encumbered, or those Bitcoin encumbered, so that you can't, while I'm working on it, withdraw the job?
No, not at all. When you create the contract, you send money to that contract, and that's gone. It's the contract's money now. It's not your money anymore. So the contract decides what to do with that money. It's not like you can now go and double spend it. It would be impossible. The contract decides. It's actually quite an interesting intellectual exercise, because once it's in the contract, who owns that money? You know, it's quite tricky because there's a probability of the money coming back to you if the job's not done, and there's a probability of that money going to the person that does the job. So, who has that money?
Ripple Labs.
Probably. All right.
Thanks.
Thank you very much.